Family, we need to talk about a phrase that I believe has been a source of great harm to a lot of people, especially for people that struggle with different mental challenges, may it be anxiety, depression, or anything in between. I can title the video like this because I know personally the harm that phrases like these cause. It may not just be the specific phrase that's in the title, but there are more spiritual versions to that same phrase. Things like, just pray about it, just have more faith. While there is nothing necessarily wrong with these phrases, often they are connected to a lack of understanding of what exactly a person may be going through. At the time of this recording, and I'm wearing green because that's the color associated with mental health. And at the time of this recording, it's World Mental Health Day. And this is a topic that has become so much more important to me over the past 3 to 5 years, as I have personally battled quite a few mental challenges. So instead of resorting to terms like that, here are a few things that I think we should do instead. Now, the first thing is don't assume. And I'll share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I lost someone that was really close to me. And I remember going to the funeral. And this was the same time that I was struggling through my issues with my back injury. And so I was on a lot of medication. And one of the massive side effects that came as a result of a specific medication that I was taking was weight gain. Now, one of the things that a lot of people, especially Jamaicans, tend to do is the moment they see you gain any kind of weight, there is an uncontrollable need to comment about your weight. And I remember going to the funeral, I remember going to the funeral, and I was with a group of friends, and this particular person just came and said, "Luke, you know, sister, you bust up your clothes, man. Look how your shirt tight and all of that." And
boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I was just, in that moment, I was just distracted. I didn't really know what to do in that moment. And, the translation, "Luke, don't you see how much weight you have gained? Don't you see how tight your clothing is becoming?" And in that moment, I felt so bad because I knew I was going through so much. And I know that the weight that I had gained was not as a result of me just getting loose with my lifestyle and just eating whatever I wanted. It was largely because I was on a lot of medication. I had back pain, so I couldn't really do certain exercises that would have helped control that. And so don't allow yourself to assume what people may be going through. Was it true that I had gained weight? Of course, it was true. But you can have the right message, give it at the wrong time, and you can also give it in the wrong way. And so tact is one of those things that I believe has become a lost art form in a lot of ways, because not many people know what to say, how to say it, where to say it, or when to say it. And that is something very important that we have to learn, especially if we are dealing with people that are going through difficult times. The next thing, listen actively. Now, this one is very important. I should have probably made asking better questions another point, but I think both of them can go together because, and I'm gonna throw this graphic on the screen from the Center for Creative Leadership. This is a very important progression, I believe, when it comes down to listening actively. So pay attention. When you ask somebody what they're going through, or you are curious about where somebody may be, and you ask closed-ended questions, that would be like, is everything good? You are right? Those are usually questions that require a yes or no answer. What happens too sometimes is that when some people ask if you're good on those questions, they don't really want to know if you really are. And this is something that I have felt personally, where someone will ask me, "Luke, you're good?" And I just sometimes to really test if they really want to know, I'll say no, and then go off into a little bit about what I'm going through. And you can just feel a kind of awkwardness just kind of come over the conversation, because really they did not really want to know if you were okay. And so if you are really one of those genuine people and you want to be there for a friend or to support them, ask better questions. Ask more open-ended questions like, how are you? How can I help? How can I assist? Questions that show that you are actually interested and want to know what your friend or that person is going through. So pay attention make that person know that you are attentive, you care about what they are saying. Then withhold judgment. And this is something that is so missing in a lot of relationships. Many people that struggle with mental health, they don't feel safe enough to be open and transparent with people because they worry about feeling judged. They worry about being called dramatic. They worry about being called too emotional, and all of these terms that are usually labeled on people that struggle with mental challenges. Then reflect. As you listen, process what that person is saying to you. Then clarify, meaning if that person is comfortable opening up to you and they maybe mention something that you don't really understand, say, what do you mean by that? How did that make you feel? Tell me a little bit more about those emotions, etc. Then within the whole skill of actively listening, you summarize and then share. I like to think about this idea of summarizing and then share as you going back over certain details with that person to show that you actually heard what they were saying and you care about what they said. And then sharing would be you reserving your thoughts, your points, etc. until after listening properly to what that person has to say. I think many times in the discussion, whenever you're having conversations with people, sometimes they are so quick to jump into giving examples and lessons that you can learn from this particular thing. Just wait and listen actively. Listen actively to what that person is saying so that you can hear and make it known that you actually care about what they're saying. So not only shouldn't you assume, you should also listen actively. But the last thing I want to talk about is be supportive, guys. Anyone that struggles with mental health, I'm sure at one point has felt like they don't feel supported or no one really understands exactly what they're going through. For me, I'm one of those persons that will go out of my way to support and to be there for people that I care about. And when I was going through one of the more difficult parts of my struggle with my back injury, with my health and everything, is there was a time when I didn't really feel supported. I didn't really feel understood. And I remember visiting my therapist one day and she said something that has really stuck with me from that session until now. She said, "Luke, sometimes we get hurt because we expect ourselves from other people." And that really hit me because it brought into perspective the fact that it may not be that people aren't supportive, but sometimes I am expecting the kind of support that I would give from other people. And so I have had to gauge my expectations in that way. But please, be as supportive as you can to your friends, to your family members, to whoever is in your circle that may be struggling through some difficulties. Be supportive. That may mean giving them a phone call, meeting up with them and practicing what I said earlier, to not assume and to also listen actively, to demonstrate that you care about what they are going through and you want to understand, you want to be there for them. You can pray for them. If that person would allow it, you can hug them. Sometimes when you are going through your mental challenges, people think that you don't know what you need, but many times they just need someone that can empathize, someone that can be there for them in that moment, to listen and try to understand what they are going through. So to go back to my earlier story, it wasn't that I didn't know that I needed to lose weight and all of that stuff, but within my circumstance at the time, that was not possible. So I just needed support in that moment. And for today being World Mental Health Day, I really, really hope that you that are watching today, you have people in your life that when you meet up with them and you're sharing, they don't assume. It's a space free of judgment. It's a space of care, of love. It's a space that's filled with understanding. You have people that actively listen to what you're going through, to what you're saying, to what you're expressing. And then it's a space that you feel supported. So for this Mental Health Day, I wish everyone improved mental health. I wish that everyone would take the time to recognize how important therapy is. You can be a prayer warrior and still go to therapy. As you click off this video, like the video, but I'd love to hear from you down in the comments if there are any other phrases that you have heard that have been very difficult for you to hear from people, but also ways that you think people can learn to support others that have mental challenges. And if you have found yourself to be struggling during this lockdown, I have another video right here that I think would be helpful for you. So as you click off, I want to wish everyone a happy World Mental Health Day, and let's continue to get better together. See you guys in the next one.